again.
One of the more colorful characters I met on the road to my current sorry state was my second grade teacher, a Catholic nun named Sister Mary Frances. Sister Mary Frances. This year, you boys are going to memorize all 10 commandments. That yardstick never stopped. I never actually saw her hit anyone with it, but the older boys would tell us really scary stories. They'd say, one time I saw her hit somebody so fast, all his teeth fell out. Sister Mary Frances wore one of those old-fashioned habits. We could only see this much of her face. As a result, we couldn't tell too much about her. Approximate age? Old. Approximate size? Large. Approximate personality? Mean. And that caused problems for a young boy with an inquisitive mind like me when it came time for those 10 commandments. Sister Mary Frances, what's this adultery they're talking about here? That yardstick that never stopped, stopped. And she pointed it right at me. Young man, I'll ask the questions in this class, not you. And that was it. That was the only answer I ever got. In fact, I still don't know what adultery is. I've been afraid to ask. Well, one day Sister Mary Frances had important business to discuss. Now, boys, our Holy Father, Pope John XXIII, is very ill. When you go home tonight, I want you to pray for the Pope's health. Otherwise, he may die. Well, that was a pretty heavy-duty responsibility for a homework assignment, don't you think? But I was up to the task. When I left school that day, I had every intention of going straight home, going up to my room, getting down on my knees, and spending the entire night praying for the Pope's health. But along the way, I ran into my friend Bruce, and he had some other ideas. He says, come on, let's go down to the football field and play with the guys. I said, Bruce, we can't play football. Didn't you hear Sister Mary Frances? We have to go home and pray for the Pope. He says, oh, come on, there's plenty of time for that later. So I went down to the football field, and I played football till dark. Then I went home and ate dinner and watched TV and went to bed and forgot all about poor old sick Pope John XXIII. Well, the next morning I woke up, went down to the kitchen like normal, but the situation there was anything but normal. My mother was at the kitchen table, holding a rosary, crying softly to herself. I knew that could only mean one thing. Oh, gee, Mom, who died? She said, the Pope passed away last night, and he had been feeling better. I just don't understand it. She didn't understand it. Maybe she didn't understand it, but I sure did. I didn't pray for the Pope's health, and he died, just like Sister Mary Frances warned. I killed the Pope! Oh, what can I do? What can I say? I couldn't tell my mother I killed her Pope. So I did what I normally did in these situations. I went out to the living room to talk to my dad, who viewed these things with considerably less emotion. But I still knew I had to take the indirect approach. I said, Dad, you know, Mom's kind of upset about the Pope dying. And he says, she'll be okay. They're just going to get a new Pope. New Pope? Oh, that was news to me. I said, really, Dad? They're going to get a new Pope? He says, oh, yeah, they take a few votes, they make some smoke. That's it, new Pope. Well, I was thrilled. I went running back to the kitchen and said, guess what, Mom? You don't have to cry. They're going to get a new Pope. And she smiled and gave me a big hug, and I knew my mom was going to be okay. As for myself, however, I had one more hurdle. Okay, boys. I want to know who didn't pray for the Pope last night. Raise your hand if you didn't pray for the Pope. Now, when I look back on that day, I realized that that was the very first moment that I began to think like an adult. A devious, buck-passing adult. I wasn't about to raise my hand in front of Sister Mary Frances. The last time I'd done that, I nearly lost all my teeth. So I decided to take a wait-and-see attitude. I was going to wait and see who else raised his hand. So I looked to my left, nothing. Looked to my right, there was my friend Bruce, looking mighty guilty, but he didn't raise his hand either. And finally, Sister Mary Frances got tired of waiting. Okay, boys, this Saturday, you're all going to go see the priest and say your confession. Oh, no, not confession. Oh, I hate confession. It's dark and it's scary and you never know what's going to happen. But Sister Mary Frances was right. I needed to get this off my chest. I needed to confess. And no more dancing around the truth this time. I had to play it straight. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I didn't tell my teacher the truth. I didn't tell my mother the whole truth. I didn't tell my father nothing but the truth. And there's one more thing. I killed the Pope. Well, there was a moment of silence, and then the priest said from out of the darkness, "Does this have anything to do with Sister Mary Frances?" I said, "Well, yeah, Father, how did you know that?" He said, "You're the third Pope killer I've had in here today." Say your prayers, son, and watch out for that yardstick. I hear the bishop's sick, too.